let's jump into our open mic segment, which is going to be part of the MTE movie news from now on. So this week, Gio has a subject for us regarding open mic. So Gio, what is your open mic topic?
Okay, for open mic, we're going to talk about movies with open endings. Me and you got into a conversation yesterday, which kind of gave us this idea. We were talking about, Birdman's ending, how we don't know what happened. I mentioned Titanic because I watched it over the weekend because that's what I do. I watch good movies. And how that one kind of has an open ending. So, specifically, these movies are left for audiences' interpretation. They don't definitively tell us where the characters stand or whatnot. They leave it up to us to guess. So I want to ask you your stance on these type of movies and which ones worked for you and which ones didn't. And I'm going to give you some examples of. I'm going to throw out some movies with open endings, and you take it from there. So we have Titanic, we have Birdman, Interstellar, Saw 1, The Dark Knight Rises, The Grey, Prisoners. So all those are movies that, for me, their endings are not so definitive, what happens next. So, your stance on open endings and, if you want, your speculation on some of these movies that I mentioned. And,
Okay, so
yeah.
Typically, I don't like open endings. Just the idea of them is lazy to me. But they can be done clever, but there are examples where it has worked. There's a lot of examples, in my opinion, where it didn't work. So let me explain why some of them are lazy to me. So I feel like the director is like, how do I want to end this film? Or the writer, it's not always the director writing the film. The filmmaker, the writer, the director, the producer, whoever's involved in the story and how it ends. They're trying to be clever. They're like, ooh, I can be clever with an open ending, and it'll leave people shocked. Like, oh, what happened? But as far as when I think it's lazy, I think, like, I don't want to explain how this ended, so I'm just going to leave an open ending and let the audience try to figure it out. And I don't like that because I'm not satisfied when I leave the theater. I don't want to guess what happened. I want to know what happened. I don't like that typically. However, when it's done creatively, it can really be really good. That's the thing. When it works, and it's phenomenal, and it gets my mind going, and I love it. So it's very, very, very hit or miss for me. Like, that's a perfect example for hit or miss. Like, for example, this might make Gio a little mad, but I did not like the ending of Birdman. So, warning, Birdman has been out for over a year. So, if you don't want to know anything, spoiler alert for Birdman. Okay, you ready? Let's go. So, Birdman, I love that movie until the ending. I absolutely love it. It's as close as you can get to a 10 up until the ending for me. So there's a lot of guessing going on in this movie. Is Michael Keaton's character crazy, or is he really visioning all this stuff? Does he have some mystical powers in real life? We don't know, right? So, or is he just insane? So to me, at the end, basically, he jumps out of a window from the hospital, and so he either died and hit the floor, or he went up flying, because we see Emma Stone, right? Emma Stone?
Yes.
We see her, his daughter.
Yeah.
She runs to the window like she's scared, and then she looks around and she looks up and smiles as if he's really flying in the air. So to me, yes, they did establish that she's crazy and she has a drug problem. She's a drug addict, but they never established anything that she's delusional. Like, she sees stuff and she's delusional. They did not establish that. But that can go hand in hand with somebody who's crazy and has a drug problem. But they did not establish her being delusional. Of course, they established Michael Keaton being delusional, obviously. So for me, so he jumps out the window, and we have no idea what's going on, whether he hit the floor or if he's flying in the air. And sure, if they established that, if they showed a scene where she's seeing stuff and talking to herself, then it would make sense to me. But they did not establish that. So she looks up and smiles, and the movie ends. Dun dun dun. Did he fly? Was he flying? Was he really Birdman? Did he really have powers? Or was she just crazy and he died and she was delusional and saw him flying? Again, I don't think that's an example of someone being lazy. I think Alejandro Gonzalez Inarritu. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Sorry if I can't pronounce that very difficult name. I don't think he was being lazy at all. He's a great filmmaker, especially from seeing that movie. That's his only film I've seen.
And you're excited about The Revenant too.
Yeah. The Revenant, man. It's my second most anticipated film for the rest of the year after that little film called Star Wars. Yeah. But I did not like the ending of Birdman. It brought the movie down from a 9.5 to an 8. And then that's a huge dip. A whole 1.5, that's a huge dip. So it just goes to show how much I did not like it. It didn't make sense to me, and open endings aren't supposed to make sense, but I thought he missed with that, dude. It wasn't lazy. I appreciate the effort. A+ for effort, but did not work for me.
Okay.
So that's my little rant on Birdman. So open endings in general, I don't like them, but they can work. What were some of the films you mentioned?
Give some speculation for other films.
Okay. The funny thing is, Prisoners. I did not like the open ending at first. I think this was the movie. Remember I told you I was trying to think of a movie where I liked the open ending?
Yeah.
This is the one that I liked. So when I first saw the movie, I was mad because I was like, no, don't end like that.
Spoilers.
Please.
Here we go.
I mean, I'm not really going to say what it is.
That's
I don't
okay.
want to go into detail. I've ranted on it long enough. But I was like, no, because I hate open endings. I always have, unless they really work. But after thinking about it, and it's been years since I watched the movie, I've thought about it, and I think that ending is brilliant. Because, all right, when the movie starts, Hugh Jackman's character, he's not a bad guy. He's just a father. He's a good father, but we all know, this is not a spoiler, from the trailers, his daughter gets kidnapped. He can't find his daughter. She goes missing. And in the events of him losing his daughter and trying to find her, he does some terrible things. He
borderline, like, okay,
psychopath. Yeah. Like, he kidnaps a kid that he thinks did it. Not a kid, but a young guy who he thinks did it, and is torturing him, like brutally torturing him. And I understand you lose your daughter, but like, he became a bad person.
Oh man, dude, when he trapped him in the shower and turned on the hot water.
Hugh Jackman was great in that film. He should. I don't know who was nominated that year, but that was an Oscar-worthy performance in my opinion. So he became a horrible person through the events of that film, and so fast forward to the end. Okay, maybe we're arguing a little bit of spoilers, but oh well, the movie's been out for like 2 years. Fast forward to the end, he gets trapped in this place where they were holding his daughter at one point. Right?
Yeah.
And it's a very, like, it's gonna be hard to find him unless you do find him. But isn't the whistle? So there's a whistle in the movie, and I believe the whistle is in the.
It's his daughter's whistle, and he finds it in his pocket.
Okay, so he's trapped in this underground thing where there's a car sitting on top of it, and he's gone missing by the end of this film. Nobody can find him, but Jake Gyllenhaal, the detective in the film, is looking for him, right? And the movie ends with is he blowing the whistle when the movie ends?
Yes. But it's very, like,
you can barely hear it. And Jake Gyllenhaal's just looking around, and he can't hear him. And then
he thinks he hears something.
And the movie ends.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant because it's like you got what you deserved in a way. Even though, yes, you were passionately, it's your daughter, she's gone missing, you've been looking for her, you got what you deserved because excuse me for
yes,
cursing.
It's okay.
You tortured a man who you weren't, even though you were convinced 100%, you didn't know if he did it or not. And turns out, even though he was involved in it, or like, did the kid know?
Which one?
Did he know where the girls were?
No, he did not know. Mm-mm.
Are you sure?
At all? Yeah. I've seen that film. Yeah.
I thought he was involved in it, but he didn't want to go against his adopted mother.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he knew, but he was so scared of her that he didn't want to go against her. He feared her more than
you're
anything.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
No, you're right.
I gotta rewatch that film, even though it's brutal to get through. It's very
It's
like
a dark,
it's a great film, but it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
Like similar to like 12 Years a Slave, it's hard to watch, even though it's a great film. So I just thought that was brilliant. That wasn't lazy to me because there's a definitive outcome that you can calculate in your head. Okay, either he dies down there, or Jake Gyllenhaal eventually, or somebody eventually finds him because he has the whistle. So that way you can see an outcome. With Birdman, you don't know whether... Okay, you can say either Michael Keaton's on the floor dead or he's flying. You can say that, but you don't know if Emma Stone's character is crazy or not. So, in the end, open endings, don't use them to be lazy. If you don't know how to end your movie and you're like, oh, let's leave it open, let the audience figure it out. If you're gonna do it, make sure it's right and you got all your tracks covered and it makes sense. Then they can be great. Gio, I know you typically like open endings, so how do you feel about them?
Well, all right, here's my thing. I'm a little more for it than you are. I think it takes the experience of the film outside of the auditorium. It expands outside of the movie theater because now you're conversing with people and
you're thinking about it for days.
And it makes in my opinion it kind of helps the movie because conversation.
And then maybe you want to go watch it again because you're like, wait, did I miss something?
Right.
And then you go watch it again. See, it's not a bad tool.
If it's done right. And I'll give an example of a lazy. The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down.
One of the best filmmakers working today, too.
Yeah. And, I have another film that's an open ending, Interstellar. But, The Dark Knight Rises first. So, spoiler, come on now, the movie's been out for years. But so Bruce Wayne is just sitting in a cafe, the most popular figure, one of the billionaires in the world. He's sitting in, he's presumed dead, but he's sitting in a cafe with
Anne Hathaway, Catwoman, Selena Scott,
and Michael Caine, Alfred is sitting in a cafe, and he looks and he sees them, and it's just like, okay, all right. And then the most obvious thing happens. All right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Robin, okay. And then he goes to the Batcave, and then the Batcave or I guess, the platform goes up, and it's like, he's like, okay, he's obviously going to become the Batman, or is he? Is he going to become Batman or Robin, or what's going to happen? Is he going to...
He's going to continue the legacy of the Dark Knight, is what they were implying.
Right, but the execution was just so lazy. They threw everything in there at once. Missing pearls.
He was a cop, but he's no Bruce Wayne who was trained by the League of Assassins and stuff like that,
No, this is the guy who, in the earlier part of the film, shot someone, So
he's a cop.
Yeah. But, he doesn't... I just thought that was, lazy. But, I could see what he was trying to do, trying to show that the Batman will live on, someone else will take up the mantle.
Yeah, see, that's not bad, but I agree that it was a little lazy. They didn't develop a relationship. Oh, I trust this guy to become Batman now. You barely knew him.
He's like, if you're going to do this, wear a mask or something like that. Yeah. It's just like, well, okay. Too much right there, not subtle enough. And then Interstellar, he spins the what's the thing called? What's
The top
there's a name for it. Yeah. All right.
in the
call
movie, but
Yeah.
to us, it's like a top, right?
Yeah. We'll call it top. So he spins it, and you see it move a little bit, and it's just like, what's going on? What's gonna? Is it a dream?
So you
Is
thought
it
this was
reality?
lazy?
No, I thought that was good.
Oh, okay.
I love that. No, I was just giving an example of like Christopher Nolan.
Dude, like
did
all
one
of Christopher
good.
Nolan's films are open endings. Like almost all of them.
Yeah, Batman Begins. Turns the cloud around. No, that's not really an ending. That's more.
But
of a
I haven't seen Memento, but I heard Memento has an open ending. And
does Interstellar have enough?
Kinda, yeah.
Well, yeah, actually it does because he sets out to find Anne Hathaway, but you don't know if he's gonna find Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it kind of more sets up for a sequel, I guess.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think there will be one.
Saw. How about Saw? At the end, he cuts off his foot, and he leaves. But then the guy gets up from underneath. There was a guy underneath that dead body. Remember that was sitting in the middle of the room?
Oh, yeah,
One guy
yeah.
on side, one guy on the other side. And then he closes the door. He's like, no. And it's like, does the other guy get out? What happens?
Yeah.
That was an open ending as well.
I didn't mind. I thought that was pretty clever.
Oh, man. For the time, dude, Saw when it came out.
But then they tried to get too crazy with
Oh, God.
with the the twists and the open endings.
Right.
But the first one, I love the first Saw. I
Danny
love
Glover.
it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm still sad about that Asian cop dying, man. But yeah, open endings. They open mic.
Open mic.
I love
open endings.
mic. Yeah, open endings. They expand the experience of the film beyond the movie theater, beyond the film, and it creates a topic for conversation. Now,
Can I ask you a question though?
Sure.
So I know you love Birdman. It's probably your favorite film of the last couple of years, right? One of your favorites
since The Social Network, probably.
Okay, so you've heard me talk about the open ending and how I dislike it, not just on this podcast, but you hear it from me all the time.
Yeah. God.
So I know you disagree with me, but can you see where I'm coming from at all?
I absolutely see where you're coming from.
Have I changed your mind a tiny bit?
You
Or maybe opened your eyes a little bit?
You make me think about it more.
Which is maybe even makes you appreciate the film more, maybe.
Yeah, you make me start to look for answers to try and just, answer your questions,
Yeah.
which I do have answers, but I mean, it doesn't.
But it's all speculation.
It doesn't give a definitive,
Yeah.
conclusion. But I see where you're coming from. You are not wrong for, open endings. They sometimes, they're hit or miss. They don't work for people. Some people, they love it. They don't mind it. But, it is a type of, filmmaking, I guess. Like directors, they intend to have the stories be that way. Now, whether it works out or not, that all depends on how you present the story, the film, and how you move forward with it. So, you're not wrong for how you feel about, open endings, So, yeah, that's just our take on it, guys. Let us know. How do you feel about movies with open endings? Are you for it? Are you against it? Which ones work? Which ones didn't? Give us some examples, of some movies. And, let us know what you think.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for MTE Movie News. Sorry, guys. We went on a little bit longer than we anticipated, but that open mic subject was worthy of
that was fun,
discussion
guys.
that
Sorry,
we had.
not sorry. Okay.
Yeah, not really sorry, but who cares? We'll cut up the video for you if you have a low attention span. Just kidding. All right. Well, I'd like to thank Gio for co-hosting with me today, man. Where can they find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at GeorgiaRamos24 and Movie Talk Express every day.
And you can find me, the host of MTE Movie Talk videos, whatever you want to call us. Jacob Bartley. You can find me on Twitter at Jake Ryan Bartley or anywhere else, Jacob Bartley. And please don't forget to go to our site for the latest movie news, reviews, speculations, movietalkexpress.com. You can also find us on Twitter at Movie Talk EX and Facebook, Movie Talk Express. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, if you like anything that you've heard today, and if you are subscribed, hit that like button. And thank you for all for joining us. We'll see you next week.